Hey guys, Eric here in the school garden. Welcome back to another video here on our channel. If you are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, like and comment, share this video, and don't forget to click the notification bell in the left or right corner of your screen to be notified when we drop new videos, which is every single week. For those that have already joined our channel, thank you so much for coming back for another video. This garden has done pretty well with growing the food that we've been able to harvest so far with all of the new beds that were built by the students. I've had a few issues with pests, and that's normal for any garden. Right now, the biggest pests that we're dealing with are the squash bugs, squash bugs and vine borers. The squash bugs have started laying their eggs on all of the squash, and so every time I'm in the garden, I'm making sure to look on top and underneath the leaves to look for those bronze colored eggs, and just removing the leaf completely. And as far as the vine borers are concerned, once they're in the plant, I just let the plant, if it continues to produce fruit, I harvest the fruit. But if it just stops completely and it gets to the point where, you know, the plant just has the fruit on the plant, but then the fruit just drops off, at that point, I'm going to remove the damaged plant. So we do have a lot of backups ready. Actually, in our greenhouse, we have about 10 to 15 different varieties of squash and cucumbers growing right now. They probably won't be ready until next week to go into the garden, but we do have that succession already started, already ready for the garden. And the tomatoes are doing really good. We're getting our first fruit harvested right now. It's not a bunch of fruit being harvested because a lot of the tomatoes are still putting on their first or second flush of flowers. And so we're still waiting for like that major haul of tomatoes, but the tomatoes are doing a-okay so far. One more issue that I just found, we had ants over here in this bed over where those beans are now growing. We were able to get them out of that area, but surprisingly they moved here to our other dahlia flower, and I think they have made a nest underneath this flower. So I'm going to need to work on managing that and removing them so they don't damage the roots underneath the soil of all of the plants in that area. Another thing that I like to do during this time is just go around. What? Get off me. What are you? Another thing that I like to do is just go around the garden and tussle the tomato flowers just to make sure that we're getting some good pollination, because recently a few of the flowers have started to fall off, and that's because mainly they weren't getting pollinated correctly. Like the wind does a good job of like moving the plant and shaking the plant where the flowers will be able to get pollinated, but just for that extra measure, I like to go around and just shake the flowers myself. So I just got stung. We have a shed over here in the school garden, and right now as I look over, I can see like wasps fly by here and there. So I'm guessing there is a nest somewhere in there. I'm gonna ask that the maintenance people spray in there, because the way that pain really hit me, they got me right on my foot, on the top of my foot. That hurt so bad. I'm not going back over there. I have to put stuff back in there, but I'm not going back over there. I'm not doing that. Not to get stung again. That's the only thing about gardening that I do not like. Bugs that can sting you. I do not. This is my second time being in a garden setting and being stung, and it's not fun. It's not fun. Whew. Okay. Other things that I have to do are remove the peppers from this one bed because they aren't doing so well. So I'm gonna move them to another bed and put some, fertilizer, worm castings underneath them, as well as bone meal and blood meal, and hopefully they do better. In the spot where I'm gonna remove them, I'm going to actually add in those extra squash and cucumbers next week once they are ready, after they're done being hardened off. I cannot believe I just got stung. That junk hurt. Oh my goodness. I transferred these pepper plants because they had yellow leaves almost, like the peppers didn't have that deep green color that you normally see them have. And they were small, and so I put them in this bed and I added in some of our seed starting mix underneath them to give them a little bit more organic matter, because we do have worm castings in that mix. And I put fertilizer, blood meal, bone meal into those holes, and I watered them in deeply. So hopefully in the next coming weeks they do flourish and produce deeper green leaves. Another thing that we're going to be working on today will be adding these terracotta spikes, watering spikes, into the garden. I have them in the fabric containers in these two raised beds over here, but I do not have them in the two raised beds that are housing some of the extra tomatoes and squash and the full bed of peppers. So I need to put them in before I water, and then I brought some extra water bottles to fill them up and have them in there as well. I like to use these because during the week I may not be able to come, and these give me a few extra hours to a few extra days to where I have like that buffer where if I am not able to come to the garden, these are providing water to the beds. Now, I've also seen people use the actual terracotta planters, like the smaller ones, and putting them in the raised beds. I may do that maybe later this summer, or just plan to do it next summer. I think we'll probably just plan to do it next summer, to put those big, well, not big, but they're bigger than these, the actual terracotta planters into the raised beds, and just have one per bed. So we'll just need 4. And we could actually use these spikes for the planters that we have and the fabric containers. I think we'll do that. And then my goal for this garden is to also get some extra either fabric containers, probably, and some actual planters where we can grow even more food with the students. I'm just looking around because the wasps are out. There's not a lot of them over here where I'm sitting, but can never be too cautious. But I'm gonna go ahead and put these in the ground. If you're gonna use these, you wanna make sure that you are being careful with digging them into the soil, because they are fragile. They can break on you. So I'm gonna take my time with putting these into the bed. I think I just need 3 and 3. So I think I do have enough. So let's get started. Well, I'm tired. We showed you just a little bit about what we are doing in the June garden. Please take your time during the season. It could be a lot to keep up with the garden. This is where like you start to put out a lot of energy, and when you get to July, you're tired and you just are like, forget it. I'm gonna let the garden do what it do. But just pacing myself, making sure that everything is fed properly and we are constantly harvesting. But I'm gonna hurry up and head out because these bugs are starting to get on my nerves a little bit. So I'm just a little anxious because I don't want to get stung again. But thank you guys for watching this video today. Make sure again to subscribe, like, and comment, and follow us on our socials. We can be found on Instagram and Facebook at EBLLCINC, and on TikTok at Project Grape. And we will see you all later in the garden. Bye.